It started with a photograph, grainy, out of focus, and taken from a distance. But in Hollywood, that was enough to set the world on fire. The image appeared on a gossip site early Monday morning. In it, Jamie Dornan was sitting at an outdoor cafe in Paris, wearing sunglasses and a dark coat, leaning across the table toward a woman whose face was half hidden by her hair. The caption read, "Jamie Dornan's European secret, the woman who isn't his wife." Within minutes, the internet exploded. Twitter lit up. Tabloids churned out articles with titles like, "Caught in Europe Collision, Jamie Dornan's Secret Affair Exposed," and "Where is Amelia Warner?" By midday, the photo had been reposted thousands of times, dissected from every angle. Fans zoomed in, speculated, debated. Who was she? A co-star? A mystery lover? Or just another rumor born from a perfectly timed snapshot? But this time, the picture looked different. Jamie wasn't smiling for the cameras. He looked intimate, focused, like a man lost in a moment he shouldn't have been caught in. By noon, the story had reached the front page of every major entertainment outlet. A headline from the Daily Mail read, "Wife back home. Jamie Dornan spotted in Paris with mystery woman." Sources, close to the actor, claimed he was in Europe for meetings about a new film project. But others insisted this wasn't business, it was personal. They looked close, one anonymous eyewitness told reporters. It wasn't romantic exactly, but it didn't feel like a business lunch either. That single comment was enough to fuel 1,000 theories. Within hours, paparazzi were swarming outside Jamie's hotel in the 8th arrondissement. Photos surfaced of him leaving through a side entrance, his expression tight, his phone pressed to his ear. A shadow of tension hung over him, the kind of weight only scandal could bring. Back in London, Amelia Warner was photographed leaving her home, alone. Sunglasses, a long beige coat, her face unreadable. When asked by a reporter if she had seen the photo, she didn't answer. But later that day, fans noticed a quiet update on her Instagram story. A single sentence in white text over a black background. Truth has its own way of surfacing. It was the calm before the emotional storm. A source close to Amelia told People magazine, "She's devastated. She didn't expect this from him. She's always trusted Jamie completely, but that picture, it changes things." The quote was repeated across social media, each repetition adding new weight to the narrative. Jamie Dornan's marriage in crisis. Amelia breaks her silence. By the time Jamie's plane landed in London that night, the world had already decided. He had something to explain. At Heathrow, reporters waited. Flashbulbs popped as Jamie emerged from the terminal, suitcase in hand, his expression hard to read. One journalist shouted, "Jamie, do you have anything to say about the woman in Paris?" Another yelled, "Is your marriage over?" He didn't respond. He just kept walking, through the flashing lights, the chaos, the questions, straight into the waiting car that would take him home. But home was no longer the sanctuary it used to be. According to one neighbor, Amelia didn't come to the door when he arrived. He stood there for a few minutes, the witness said. Then he went inside alone. No one knew what was said that night, but the silence was louder than any argument could have been. The next morning, entertainment shows across the globe dissected every frame of that Paris photo. Analysts debated the meaning of body language. He's leaning forward. That's intimacy. Look at her hands. She's relaxed. Comfortable. Meanwhile, Jamie's team remained completely silent. No statement, no denial. And that silence only made the speculation worse. Some fans pleaded for understanding. Maybe it's nothing. Jamie's not that kind of man. Others were less forgiving. You don't fly to Paris for coffee with someone who isn't your wife. Even other celebrities began weighing in subtly, cryptic tweets, vague quotes about truth and betrayal. It seemed everyone had an opinion, and no one had the facts. 2 days later, Jamie was photographed again, this time leaving a film studio in London, looking exhausted. When a reporter shouted, "Who is she, Jamie?" he stopped just long enough to answer quietly. Everyone sees the photo. No one sees the story. It was the only sentence he gave, but it was enough to shift the narrative. What story was he talking about? Was there something more behind the image? Something not so easily defined by rumor and scandal? No one knew for sure. But one thing was clear. For the first time in years, the man once celebrated for his privacy had been pulled into the glare of Hollywood's harshest light. And as one headline perfectly captured it, Jamie Dornan's European secret, betrayal or misunderstanding. Because sometimes, the truth isn't what breaks people apart. It's the silence that follows it. The photo that had nearly torn apart Jamie Dornan's world was still everywhere, on magazine covers, social media feeds, and television screens across continents. It had become more than a picture. It was a story the world had already decided to believe. But behind the noise, there was a truth no one had taken the time to ask about. And that truth began to unfold 3 days later. On a Thursday evening, Jamie finally appeared in public. Not on a red carpet, not at a movie premiere, but outside a quiet cafe in London. He'd agreed to speak to a journalist he trusted, someone who had followed his career from the beginning. The interview was brief, just 15 minutes, but it changed everything. When asked directly about the photo from Paris, Jamie sighed. "Everyone wants a villain," he said quietly. "But life isn't that simple." The interviewer pressed, "So who was she, Jamie?" Jamie looked away for a moment, then answered, "A friend. Her name's Sophia, she's a screenwriter. We've known each other for years. She helped me through a rough patch in my career, and I'm producing her next project." That meeting in Paris wasn't a secret. It was work. But yes, he paused, it was also personal. She was going through something difficult, and I wanted to be there as a friend. He hesitated before adding, "I can see how it looked. I should have been more careful. But not everything close has to be romantic. Sometimes connection is just that, connection." His words carried no defensiveness, only exhaustion, the weariness of a man tired of being misunderstood. Hours after the interview aired, fans noticed something unexpected. Amelia Warner posted a short note on her social media. "We all make mistakes, not in love, but in silence." It wasn't a denial, and it wasn't forgiveness either. It was something in between, a confession of pain, perhaps, or understanding. A friend close to Amelia told Vanity Fair, she was hurt, but not because she believed he cheated. She was hurt because she felt shut out. Jamie doesn't always talk about what's happening inside his head, he internalizes everything. She just wanted to be part of his world again. Those who knew the couple well described their marriage as one built on loyalty and mutual respect, but strained by distance, long film shoots, late-night calls, and the constant intrusion of fame. "Jamie's always been the protector," the friend continued. "He tries to shield Amelia from the noise, but in doing that, he sometimes shuts her out completely." That's where this all began. Not in Paris, but in the silence between them. By the next morning, the media narrative began to shift. Headlines that once screamed, "Love scandal in Paris," were replaced by softer tones. The real story behind Jamie Dornan's European photo. Not a scandal, but a misunderstanding. Still, the damage was done. Some people refused to believe the truth. Others admired the way Jamie faced it head-on. In an emotional follow-up interview, he said, "Fame teaches you one painful lesson. People will fill in your silence with whatever story they want. I let that happen. I let it hurt my family." Then, with a hint of regret in his voice, he added, "Maybe I didn't do anything wrong. But I also didn't do enough right." That weekend, paparazzi captured what no one expected to see: Jamie and Amelia walking through Hampstead Heath with their daughters. There was no tension, no forced smiles, just a quiet, natural calm. At one point, Amelia slipped her arm through his. The image went viral again, but this time, it carried warmth instead of chaos. A source close to the couple confirmed they were rebuilding, and that Amelia had chosen to believe in her husband, not the headlines. Later, in an exclusive statement to The Guardian, Jamie said, The photo in Paris taught me something I'll never forget. Trust isn't just about staying faithful. It's about being open, even when it's uncomfortable. I wasn't unfaithful to my wife, but I wasn't honest enough with her either. And that's on me. The world loves scandal more than truth. But in the weeks that followed, something unusual happened. People began to see the story differently. Jamie wasn't the perfect husband, nor the guilty man tabloids had painted. He was human, flawed, private, and struggling to navigate a world where every gesture was judged under a microscope. As one journalist wrote, maybe the real scandal wasn't love, but loneliness, the kind that fame hides but never heals. By the end of the month, Jamie and Amelia appeared together at a charity gala. No grand gestures, no public statements. Just a couple quietly standing side by side, as if the storm had passed and all that remained was truth. Before leaving the event, Jamie was asked if he had any message for the people who still doubted him. He smiled faintly. "You can't control what people see," he said. "You can only control what's real." And with that, he walked away, not as the man caught in Europe, but as the man who finally understood that sometimes, the loudest scandals are the ones that teach us how to love honestly again.